What kind of success rates could you expect from making phone calls to expired listings? If you're interested in that, you're in the right place. Let's talk. Hi, I'm Mike Cerrone with Two Listings Per Month. And right now we're going to talk about my experience with making some phone calls out to some expired listings. Now, I'll preface this whole thing by saying I didn't do a lot of phone calls in the big picture of things. So take everything I'm going to say with a grain of salt. But I thought I should experiment and see, hey, if I make some phone calls out to people, would it be a different result than I get, say, than if I send mail or knock on a door or some other medium that I would reach out to them. Okay. And just so you know, I didn't do any email because of the canned spam laws. And I don't do any text because for a similar reason. I'm not sure what the text rules are in my state as well as Fed. But I'm comfortable that I know as far as phone calls, as long as they're not on the do not call list, I can call. That's my understanding. Check with your attorney and your broker to make sure. And laws change over time. So definitely make sure that you check all these things out with them before you move on. But I'll give you my results of what's happened in my situation. This is going to be a pretty quick little video, but I spent a little bit of time calling, like an hour a day here and there over a couple weeks as I could squeeze it in. And I ended up spending, I track all this, so I ended up spending 1,001 minutes. I hit 1,000 and said, I'll give him one more minute more. It's just, that's the way it happened. It was 1,001 minutes. And in 1,001 minutes, I made 1,169 dials. Okay. Now I was using a single line dialer, but I was also kind of hunting and pecking. I wasn't going as fast as I could. I was making notes as I was going, et cetera. So it sounds like it was taking just under a minute per dial for a dial out. And then I left 141 voicemails. Didn't know if voicemails would make a difference, so we did that. And in that, I had 44 conversations. And again, these are with expired listings, people who have put their home on the market with an agent, put it in the MLS, and then after a period of time, the listing agreement expired. And so the listing in the MLS expired and the home came off the market. Now, I'm only going after expireds, by the way, not withdrawals, because in my market, you can't go after withdrawals. You got to check with your MLS and what their rules are. And so make sure you follow those rules as well. All right. So anyway, I want to make sure you knew what I was doing. So let me go back to those numbers. Minutes, 1,001 minutes, dials 1,169, voicemails 141, and conversations 44. And so the question is, what were the results? Right. Well, of all that, I had 44 conversations, but very few were decent. Most people were just kind of, no, I don't want to say goodbye, click, and they were getting off the phone. They were very upset. They're not happy people because they're getting bombarded with phone calls with all these agents. They're pretty angry, by the way. If you get into this, just know they're kind of upset, and you got to be able to kind of work through that. And my skill on that is so, but that's something that you got to be aware of. In all of that, I did end up setting one listing appointment, and it was through follow-up, by the way. I talked to a gal. She had told me they were going to come back in the market, and they had some interest. And when I tried to set an appointment, though, she said, no, we'll let you know if we decide. I ended up having to call her multiple times. I'd have to look at the notes. I don't have them in front of me. I'm guessing, I think the total follow-ups was like 14. That number is ringing true to me, between phone calls where I leave a voicemail or phone calls where I talk to them, actually went by the house and dropped off a packet. I knocked on the door, but nobody answered, so I dropped off a packet. Then I left I think I sent a text message after that, because I had talked with the gal on the phone, so we had a conversation. I sent a text message saying, hey, I just dropped the packet off. In fact, I think I did a video text because somebody had mentioned that. So I did a video text saying, hey, I just dropped the package off, wanted you to meet you, but I missed you. Anyway, so we went down all this 14 different contacts. I ended up somewhere along that line, maybe at the 12th. I can't remember exactly where it was. I talked to the gal, and she said, "Oh yeah, we're going to interview agents now." And I scheduled an interview, and then before the day before I could make it out there, she canceled. And so then I contacted her again, and she was hemming and hawing, but I was able to reschedule for another day. And then the morning of that appointment, she contacted me and said, "Oh, you didn't hear? We've already hired an agent. We listed an agent." So you got to get in there quick, and I didn't get in quick enough. So that was in the end was a zero. So that's it. That's my report. I made 1,000 minutes calls. I can't think how many hours that is. 60. What is that? Here, give me just a second. I don't know why my head brain math skills aren't going very good. 16, almost 16 and a half hours. So we did 16 and a half hours of calls, although I only track the time I'm actually dialing, but there's the prep time and the post time. So it's probably closer to 20 plus hours of your effort. And then, of course, all the prep work on the numbers. So adding maybe double the number. So 30 to 40 hours total involvement. But actual time on the call was 1,000 minutes. And that was 1,169 dials, 141 voicemails. Nobody called me back from a voicemail, by the way. And then conversations 44. And by the way, in there, I think I had two that looked good out of all those people. The one gal who set the appointment but bailed, and then another person who I was kind of working with, but then we just couldn't get back in touch with one another, and he ended up relisting, just not with me. And so what I wanted you to know is there probably is some viability in these phone calls. In fact, my very two listings that I had in my career were out of phone calls, but that was a long time ago. One was right out of a reverse directory, just making cold calls. That was my very first one. And the other one was a for sale by owner in a baby condo. I was thinking about the other day, it was like $18,000. It was a little teeny thing. It's a long time ago. In any event, the phone calls will work. It's just you have to be dedicated. You have to do it all the time. And so from my lifestyle, I'm probably not going to continue down that path. And that's why I've chosen to go to direct mail, because it does take time and effort, but I can control when I do that at my choosing. I can do it early in the day, late in the day, whatever, when I do my work on the mail. But I do have to be available to answer that phone. If you're going to do mail, you got to answer the phone. I'm digressing because this call is talking about phones. So hopefully that was helpful to get a little stats on my experience. I'd love to hear your experience. Have you made calls out to expireds? Have you had success, or did it not work out? Or just give me some feedback down in the comments below. I'm sure people would love to hear what you have to say about it if you've actually made the calls to expired listings to try to get an appointment. People I'm sure going to say, what's the script and what are you trying to say? Basically, it all comes down to, hello, am I talking to the right person? And hey, I noticed that your home came off the market. Are you still interested in selling this property? Okay, that's basically the opener, and then you kind of go from there. Okay, and you kind of fiddle around, and the objective is to get an appointment to interview with them. So in fact, that's what you say is, hey, I'd love to interview for the job of selling your property. When would be a good time for me to come by for X number of minutes and show you how I can help you get this accomplished? And it just becomes a conversation. The more conversational you are, the better luck you are going to have. Of course, you're talking to a guy. I just showed you my stats weren't great. So that's my experience with making phone calls to expireds. Maybe that'll be helpful. If you like this, give us a thumbs up or a like. If you want to join us on this journey, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. And if you have any comments or your thoughts on these phone calls out to expireds, please put them down below. All right, I hope that's been helpful. Take care. Bye now.